भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all, thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful, may the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. ब्रह्ममेतु मां मधुमेतु मां ब्रह्ममेव मधुमेतु मां ब्रह्ममेधया मधुमेधया ब्रह्ममेव मधुमेधया. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May the all-pervading, absolute, conscious truth be realized by us. May the bliss absolute be realized by us. May the all-pervading, absolute existence, which is also the bliss absolute, be realized by us. May we realize the absolute, all-pervading existence by purification of our awareness. May we realize the bliss absolute through purification of our awareness. May we realize the absolute luminous existence, which is also the bliss absolute, by purification of our understanding. Om, peace, peace, peace. Dear friends, let us feel our innermost self, which is pure, perfect, divine, within our heart. Let us feel it as a spark of light, and let us concentrate on that spark. As we focus our attention on that, we can see that spark of light becoming brighter and brighter. Bigger and bigger. I see it has occupied my whole being. I am seeing myself as light, everything made of light. The bones, the blood, the skin, all different organs, everything is made of light, just as a statue made of wax is wax itself, so also I see I am light itself. And I see everything around me, all people, furniture, the walls, the streets, the whole universe is also made of the same one light. All differences are dissolved in this all-pervading, luminous existence. I am this light, this all-pervading, luminous, one without second, existence itself, beyond time and space. in this transcendent unity. I see I am love itself, bliss itself. I am peace itself. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Dear friends, like all religions, Vedanta too sets the goal before humankind as realization or experience of our true inner divinity, our true freedom, our true ever perfect nature. This is the goal as it is presented by Jesus. Be you perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. This is the goal. And of course, the goal has to be highest. If something is lower, then we may consider it as an intermediate objective. But the goal has to be highest. That is how our mind tells. If something is still higher than what we call goal, then whatever we were considering as goal drops in our esteem. That which is the ultimate, beyond which there is nothing, that alone fulfills this criterion of goal. So it is obvious that it is not something that we are experiencing right now. It is a long, long distance away maybe. But there is a way to get there. It is, and this is the practical side of religion. And Vedanta is very practical in its approach. It goes to the ultimate heights that any poetry can think of. But at the same time, it is firmly rooted in the ground realities. It is the transformation of ourselves gradually so that we reach that goal. That is the method, a practical method that Vedanta suggests or presents very powerfully before us. So, it is, of course, it all requires our transformation. Swami Vivekananda mentions the two tendencies of being practical that we see amongst humans. One is that, pull down the ideal to our level. And thus we don't have to do anything to reach the ideal. We are just what we are, and then our ideal is just like that. I do not want to change myself. It is there is the logic that such people give that, we are ordinary human beings. We are not saints. We cannot go that far. And so, let us be satisfied with this kind of mundane life. Our ideal is just to live like this, grab more and more pleasures in this world, howsoever flimsy they may be, howsoever temporary they may be, but instead of not having any, temporary are better. Well, there is, most people succumb to this kind of thinking. Actually, it doesn't involve even thinking. We need not assign such prestigious word like thinking for that. It is an automatic, instinctive perception that, well, I am like this, let me be like this. It is an outcome of the mental, psychological inertia that we have, just as there is the physical inertia described by Newton as that first law of motion, that things do not change their way unless forced from outside. So we also are like that, do not want to change ourselves. Instead, to be practical, what we do is pull down the ideal to our level. But when one really starts thinking, and thinking involves that we analyze the results that we get. We analyze and see, is it what I want? And then the answer would come as, no, this is not what I think life is for. There is certainly a much higher purpose for our living. And so there begins then the journey, that you do not pull down the ideal, but change yourself so that you reach the ideal. The transformation has to be brought in us. Like if I have to say, travel to Los Angeles, I do not pull the Los Angeles to me, I change my position and travel there. So it is always that thoughtful people would do that. That ideal is not to be brought down. And we have to elevate ourselves to the ideal. And this process is what is termed as purification. It is a very beautiful word. It tells us that your goal is what you actually are. And thus, what you need to do is purification. The certain analogies that are given in Vedanta are, there is gold, a pot of gold, but because it has for over the years accumulated lot of dirt and dust and all that, so the shining is not apparent. It doesn't look like gold. So now what do you need to do? Just rub it, clean it, and then it will start shining. That is that was gold already. Not that you converted it into gold. It was gold, but now it has started shining like gold. So we are all, each of us is actually divine, ever free, ever perfect. What is needed is just purification, so that it becomes the practical experience for us. And that is where we see the difference, that if we do not know something, then it is there but not available to us. It is, I saw I had gone to the Social Security office, and then there were some people, they were entitled to receive certain benefits. A few years ago, they should have got them. But they didn't know about it. And so, therefore, they missed those. So now somebody told them, oh, okay, go to the Social Security office and just look for that, and they will guide you, and then you can get those benefits. Now those benefits were due to them. Because of ignorance, they didn't know that they could get them, and therefore they didn't get. So similarly, we are entitled. We have this inheritance. What inheritance? Perfection. All bliss is ours. All bliss is ours. All peace is ours. We are ever free. And when we know this, we will get it. If we do not know it, even though we are entitled to it, we do not have it. And thus, although we are entitled to get the ultimate infinite bliss, we are suffering here in so many miseries. See the difference of knowing, yes, I am heir to the infinite bliss. That is my heritage. I have to get it. That's it. When I know about it, then I make efforts to get it. Like that person, somebody informed him that, well, you should be entitled to this. Just go to Social Security office and find out. And sure enough, he was entitled to those benefits, and now he put in efforts. He had to fill in so many different forms, this, that, and so it is some efforts are to be put in, and thus he started getting those benefits. So now, similarly, we are here to the infinite bliss. Each of us, friends, not some chosen people, no. Each of us, as Swami Vivekananda puts it, each soul is potentially divine. Each of us is divine potentially. And then that manifestation of that is the goal. And for that, this process is just purification. We are that. Just purify all the muddied awareness. And then that is this purification. Its two aspects, as you can see from the title, inner purification, means there is outer purification also, that it is. But we are going to speak today about inner purification because that is most important part of it. But let me warn you that outer purification is not to be neglected, because outer purification and inner purification, they are kind of complementary to each other. And so, outer purification has a positive impact on inner purification too. It is like if you keep your courtyard clean, then the dust from outside will not come in, and thus your inside of the house will be helped to remain be clean. So the outer cleanliness will help inner cleanliness. So that is in our life also it is like that. But today we are looking mainly at this inner purification methods, Vedanta as a practical science provides these methods at whatever stage a person may be. It is for every person, wherever that person is there in the terms of spiritual awareness. These methods can be applied if that person wants them. The question is, well, they don't, Vedanta does not impose them upon anyone. But anyone who wants, at whatever spiritual stage of evolution that person may be, they can be imbibed by that person, and then that person can evolve from wherever he or she is, like a staircase that runs from the basement to the top floor, to the roof, let us say. Now, if you are on the basement, doesn't matter. Start from the step 1. If you are already on the first floor, okay, you don't have to go to the basement. You can begin climbing from where you are. So, anywhere on our stage of growth, this staircase becomes available to us. It is told in almost all Vedanta texts. Especially you will see the traditional way of studying Vedanta. And that is how these scriptures are to be studied in modern days. In the classes, as in the universities, they study that religions and so forth. And they do get, it has its value. I don't say that it is all of no use. But as they study those disciplines, they study it to get PhD or certain laurels, certain publications, put in the prestigious journals and bring out books, and for that purpose, to get some big grants. So, that is not how these things are to be studied. These are practical sciences, and so they are to be studied by while doing these experiments, applying those things to our life. And the first thing that is told as imperative, it is not just a suggestion that you should do it. If you want to actually study Vedanta texts, because they are meant to change your life, there are certain prerequisites, some imperatives. Like I was telling at Connecticut this morning in the class there, that if somebody wants to seek admission to say a graduate course, then, what have you studied before? Well, I am a middle school dropout. Then, you have to, wait. You cannot get admission in a grad course. So, obviously, for everything there have to be certain prerequisites, some qualifications that you have to get, and then you are entitled to study those texts, because those texts, those words will become meaningful at a certain level of purity you achieve, because these are not intellectual studies. Those texts are never meant for that. Those texts are meant for elevating your life to the higher and higher stages or levels of spiritual experience. So, you have to have first some prerequisites, and they are described as sadhana chatushtaya. Shankaracharya explains these, that for these practices you have to undertake, so that you can meaningfully, start your study of these Vedanta texts. What are those? First is discernment, viveka. Discernment means try to see what is permanent and what is impermanent. What is real, what is not real. And thus, when you get that understanding, that is one way of purifying our awareness. That because we confuse permanent for impermanent, impermanent for permanent. And so, therefore, our life gets glued, attached to what is actually impermanent, but we look upon it as permanent. See, if we know something as temporary, impermanent, then we will never get attached to it. We will never get caught into that. It is only when we see that it is permanent, then we get caught into it. Like you travel in a plane, you are given a seat, and then yes, you say that it is my seat. But you know that it is only temporarily, for say 2 hours of journey, that is your seat. So you are actually aware of the impermanence of that, and therefore you are never attached to it. You never shed a tear while leaving that seat, that, oh my dear seat, it is such heart-rending to leave you. No. You never say. In fact, you are getting ready even before it is announced. You are taking up your things and, hey, I have to get up quickly. So, that is how we know that to be impermanent. Why do we get caught in these impermanent things of this world? Because we, although know it in our head, intellectually we know that they are impermanent, but actually we think of them as permanent and therefore get caught in them. So therefore, this is a practice. This is a practical thing, friends, to learn, to discern what is impermanent, what is permanent, viveka. And thus that will make our awareness, very clean. And then vairagya, a complementary discipline of this viveka, dispassion, discernment and dispassion. That which is impermanent, that which is that volatile, the mind will not go after those things. You will not covet those things. You will see upon, you will look upon them as unreal. And so, as a practice, therefore, try to keep yourself away, or do not covet those things of the world, those which give temporary titillation to the senses, which one calls as pleasures, but then one gets caught in them. So avoid those. That is called dispassion. And discernment and dispassion. When the discernment becomes absolute, you are able to discern everything perfectly, then the dispassion will be automatic. Absolutely, you will not feel passionate about, grabbing it, because you know that it is not real. It is like you may see an apple and you feel that, well, I am hungry, let me grab that apple. And then you stretch your hand, take it, and you realize that it is just plastic thing. And we have some downstairs, there are some fruits, grapes and all, They look exactly like, the real berries and grapes, but they are just, they are plastic things. They are not really grapes. So once you may get cheated, oh, let me eat that. But then next, you don't get cheated. Your hands do not go to pick it up, because you know that although they look like grapes, they are not grapes. So you see that whatever you thought as very pleasurable, with discernment you see that it is unreal, and so you do not feel attracted towards that. So this is dispassion. And then one has to develop moral qualities. They are described, the Sanskrit words are these 6 types of wealth you have to acquire, called Shamadhi Shat Sampatti, 6 wealths of, one of them is Shama, the mental, the control of the mind. The mind will have a tendency to do something, and now you try to restrain. No, no, mind, you are my mind. Like your dog, the dog, you are say, you have dog is on a leash, and then you want the dog to keep on a track. The dog wants to go somewhere else, but you then pull. Hey, dog, you can't be going there. You are a good, nice dog, but you have to behave. So you keep your leash holding, that dog tight. So similarly, mind will have an impulse. Hey, I have to do that. No, hold it back. Don't let it do it. So that is called Shama, Dhamma. Same thing about body, the physic. It will have its own instinctive pulse. So it is your, like dog. This is your dog, you have to keep it. This is not you, it is your dog. So keep it, hold it tightly. It is, and thus this practice itself, this practice itself, even when we do a little of this, what happens is we will feel more peaceful, more happy. It is anybody, this being a practical science, anybody can do it and see the results. It is not that you have to believe in it. It is you just apply it and see. That's about it. It is, therefore, Vedanta is religion, but not what is many times perceived as religion, as a belief system. You believe certain things like written in some books. No, that is not what Hinduism or Vedanta tells. You investigate, you find out, do experimentation, realize the truth, and thus now you feel convinced of it. So this is the method, that you go ahead, practice, and thus you will see the next in that 4 things is that uparati. When you practice that, the mind will get the training, as those who train the dogs, they do like that okay, the natural tendency of dogs will be, well, you give food and the dog will jump there. But then repeatedly you keep on training it. And then dogs learn that unless given by their owner, they would not take food. It is that owner, that particular person alone has to give. Then, so similarly, you see, we will get that training, and so there will be an automatic that turning back. When you see that, these so-called invitations to these pleasures, they are traps. Then you will turn back from them. They are traps. Like earlier, I used to, get all these credit card notices, and then I used to think, wow, nice, it is very good. But then I soon discovered, when came from India 17 years ago, these things were very new to me. So I say, wow, these people are giving so much benefit, all this, and how? Now, afterwards, I learned that they are all traps to catch you and rob you completely. So it is. So all these pleasures, they are like that. They attract you, grab you, do not let you get out of it. And thus, when now what happens? Uparati is that, turning back. Now, whenever I see a credit card, those mails from that, and then I just put it in the trash. I do not even care to open it. So, it is like that. So, it is exactly, one has to say, that these things are not going to be very helpful in life. And then the last of these four is a tremendous desire to get liberated. We all want liberation. We all want freedom. Even a little child doesn't like to be dictated, told that, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, wants freedom, and then feels so happy. I did it all by myself. So, because that is an innate tendency in us to become free. And why so? Because our true nature, our true self is ever free. So we want that freedom. But our desire for freedom is not intense enough. It is a little bit. And so we don't make that much effort. There is another reason for that. I will not go, that why do we not make that so much effort to become free, although we want it. It is, but whatever it may be the reason, one has to acquire that intense desire to become free. Then, when you have these, it is told by Shankaracharya and other great teachers of Vedanta that if you have these qualifications, these prerequisites, then the truths of these Vedanta scriptures will shine forth in your life. It is not 0 or 100%. To the extent we acquire these virtues, these spiritual qualities, that level of purification, okay, then we will get that much wisdom from those texts. So, to whatever extent we become pure, these truths will shine forth in our life to that extent. So, you see that what makes us impure, the ignorance, and the offshoot of ignorance is the desires, that likes and dislikes, that attraction and aversion, they are the outcome of ignorance. So, and this just muddies our awareness. The 27th verse of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says, Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. By the delusion of the pairs of opposites arising from desire and aversion, O Bharata, O Arjuna, all beings are subject to delusion of at birth. All of us are subject to delusion. And then, therefore, we have to take birth and go through death again and again because of this delusion. The desires. I like this, I don't like this. And they keep on changing. The problem with the likes and dislikes is what you like today, you don't like tomorrow. But then you have already ordered what you liked. By the time it arrives, you don't like it. That is the problem of everybody. It is the children immediately say it. They, with great interest, they make the parents buy some toy. No, I want it without, they keep on crying. And then after they get it, next day, that's it, they play with it for a little while and then it is tossed away. Because you liked it, but now you don't like it. So, that is why we get into this bondage. Like things I like and things I don't like cannot be separated. Like those split lentils, the lentil whole grain, and when you split it, especially the white lentils. Now the one side is black, another side is white. Same lentil grain. So if you say, well, separate the white from the black, well, every grain is white, every grain is black, everything is you like at one time and do not like it at other time. And therefore, this muddies our that judgment, decision making. What I like, I feel that it is full of all virtues. It is whatever like our understanding about it is very one-sided. It is like I like hot green chilies. So I do not see any bad effects of it. I see all the wow. It is full of all virtues. Why? Because my understanding is muddied. Because of my likes. And something I don't like, I am not likely to see any good thing in that person. I get sometimes calls from one lady. Some others also make calls like that, but she has this difficulty. She calls and tells that all criticism about her husband, how bad he is, paints him the worst devil that ever walked on earth, paints him like that. And then, again, after some days, she calls for some other reason, and then by that time things have changed. So she starts praising her husband also like that. Wow, he is so good. Doesn't see any vice, any bad thing in him. Things change, It is when you don't have it, you start thinking, wow, it is so good. It is so nice. It is, they tell a joke that in a church that the talk was on perfection. And then the minister said, well, we have to work for it. Nobody is perfect here. Does anybody know any perfect person? And it was not really a question. It would be just, no, where is it? No. But one fellow in the back seat raises the hand. One man raised the hand. Oh, so you have met a perfect person. His wife was sitting by his side. And he said, yes, my wife's ex-husband. So it is, that is, because now she starts praising him, that compared to him, you are useless and all that. So it is so that what I mean is that is how the likes and dislikes, our attractions and repulsions, they muddy our understanding. And therefore, this is what we have to learn to control. As we control it, then we see that our understanding, our inner being starts getting purified. And as it purifies, we will see that the light gets seen, just as the gold pot covered with dust, as we start cleaning it, then we see that the luster starts shining there. So also, as we clean, to the extent we clean, it comes out. One very good method is therefore, it is very simple, practical method that, okay, start practicing breathing exercises, regular breathing exercises. Why? It controls the emotions. It has an effect on your emotions, and thus it will have some little effect on our thinking or on our this mind, the inner instrument, and then you can think of it as purifying. Second very important thing is told, truthfulness. Be truthful. Everybody knows to be truthful is very important, very good. Why? It is obvious, one may support one's own telling lies, but then all know that truth is the right thing to do. Because when you are told lies, then you don't like that. That it is, no, that fellow told lied to me. So imagine, when you tell lie, that is also has the same effect. So therefore, you don't tell lies. You can never fulfill. One of our Swamis used to tell that, look, you can never fulfill your vow to tell lies always. Suppose you take a vow, I will always tell a lie. Always. Can you ever fulfill that vow? Because fulfilling that vow means you have told the truth. And that means you have broken the vow of always telling the lie. You cannot fulfill the vow of always telling lie. You may be able to fulfill the vow of telling the truth. And then as one develops this practice of truthfulness, we see it brings about a very important and perceptible change in us. Our life will then be guided by the truth. And it is that pure light of the self starts shining more. We will be able to feel it. It is at one stage of this process of purification, we start seeing as this self distinct from body and mind. Intellectually, it can easily be seen, easily be shown that you are not body or mind. Intellectual conviction isn't very difficult. You are all very, very highly intelligent people. It requires only a little logic to see this. But they actually becoming aware and getting disidentified with our physical identity is not so easy. But when some level of purity is achieved, that is an effect that one can see that I am not this body, becomes a perception. It is not just a thought, but becomes a clear awareness. So, as this process of purity goes on, there are many things that I can tell, but there is no time today, so I just will give you the reference. It is in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It begins by the description of that which is the that which can be known, and the knower and the known. So the terms that they use in Sanskrit are kshetra and kshetrajna. Kshetra is that which you know by your senses, by your intellect, by exercise of your mental faculties. You know it as an object. All that, and how is that? It is all that changes. The characteristic is that it changes. It does not remain stable. So that is the knowledge of that which can be known. And then there is the knowledge of the knower. Now, how to know the knower? That question comes. How to know the knower? And Lord Krishna tells there, he simply begins a list of these virtues to be acquired, that you have to practice. These are the matters of practice. Practice humility, practice that non-showiness. It is, why these are things to be practiced? Because the opposite of them are ingrained in us. So therefore, these things are to be practiced. Non-showiness, humility, it is non-killing, non-injuring, ahimsa, non-injury. The principles, and then they willing to forgive, that forgiveness is to be practiced. It is, all these are very important virtues, that these are the practices for inner purification. As we do these, you see the situation starts changing for us. It unfolds, cleans, and then our inner reality, our true luminous self will shine forth, and we shall see, experience that I am ever free. I am the truth. I am the all-pervading, luminous, blissful existence itself. I am Satchidananda. Thank you, friends. We will meditate for 30 seconds, and then after thinking about what we heard, you can, if you have questions, you can ask them. Yes? Anybody has any question? Oh, John, you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the Riddler, full of question marks.
Oh, come on.
So, would you think that purity has some, a necessary ingredient to purity is to serve someone other than yourself in a positive way? For example, like you talk about keeping the house clean and keeping the outside clean. But if you live like a hermit and nobody visits you and sees the example, nobody else is benefiting from it. So would you say that purity is helping somebody else?
Well, yes, I have two answers to that, because although you asked explicitly one question, you have also made other statement about which also I have to say something. It is first thing, yes, that by uh, helping somebody uh, in the spirit of service without expecting anything from that person is a means of purity for sure. It certainly goes a long way to purify our inner being. Sure. Second part, somebody is hermit and then is still practicing many other disciplines to purify, and because nobody can meet that person being a hermit, that person is not of any use to the world. That is not, as I understand, that is not true, because thought is very powerful. That person has the thought of that inner oneness, and so is disidentifying himself or herself from body, and that thought is of benevolence to all creatures. That actually helps everybody in the world too. It is not something that is inert. And I fully accept this idea that thoughts are very powerful and they can go long distance, and thus help people to get over many problems that they have. So, both these are methods of purification. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, Bernadette?
So, you're talking about dispassion,
Yes.
and I'm wondering if that's neutrality or detachment. Maybe including in that bracket?
Well, neutrality, you reach the level of, it's a good question, thank you. That neutrality, not affected by the like and dislike at all, being neutral completely to them, that is a very high stage of awareness. When you are not, don't experience any pulls. But dispassion as an initial practice is of applying the reverse. Like if you are attracted to something, then use the thought that no, I should not get attracted. And so, to free yourself from that attraction, you apply a force in the reverse direction. So, thus you get help by that. It is there, the neutrality will not work, but because the mind is not stable that much to accept that sameness. It is getting terribly forcefully pulled to something. So now what are you going to do? You have to put opposite force in the other direction. And so you will keep that balance and equanimity. So that is practice of dispassion. Thank you.
Give an example of that.
Huh?
Can you give an example of that?
Yeah, it is one example that I already have given, that you are taking dog on the leash, and the dog is already fully trained, is not pulling the leash here and there. Then you have that neutrality. You don't worry. Even you see many dogs who have been trained to be going on the track and very obedient. The person takes the leash off, lets the dog walk free of any leash. But otherwise, if the dog is pulling some in one direction, then you have to pull the leash in the opposite direction. Suppose, like one dog, somehow, as I was walking on the street here, right here, took some liking for me, liking probably not in a benevolent way, and then wanted to jump on me, but that person who was holding pulled that dog forcibly. That person had to apply a lot of force because the dog really wanted to come to me. So it is. And now what is this? This is the example for that. That we have a very powerful desire to do something, then pull it back. And sometimes, for example, the urge comes, oh, okay, that fellow wronged me like this. Let me go and give that fellow a big blow. The anger is welling up and you want to give that fellow a pull. Suddenly you remember, oh, I should not be doing that. That is not a right thing to do. And so now you have to exercise that inner force. No, don't do it. That's not right. It is so you begin all the resources at your command to pull back. Like you take a deep breath or leave the place. Something you have to do to control. We had one gentleman once, and he had some bills. We have to pay certain bills. And then, according to our understanding, he is charging enormously more than what our agreement was about. And so we were trying to tell that this is not right, this work was not done right by you, and this, we had so many problems, why you are this charge for this was only so much decided, and then you charge so much on this, what is this? And that man was getting angry. And then suddenly, as I was telling, I saw he has gone. He has gone. And I thought, what happened? Myself, one of my colleagues, we both were there. What happened? Then he called next day and came. Said, what happened? You just left? No, I was getting so upset, so angry that I would have said something wrong, I would have done something wrong, which I didn't want to. So what did I do to prevent that? I decided, let me leave the place. It is like that, one has. These are very good examples to see. Okay, then, as Vishwanath does the offertory, I will read about the upcoming programs, and then there will be the evening Arati, Vesper service, and then you are all invited to join the soup supper. Also, today is the New Year Day for Bengalis. And yesterday was the New Year Day for the South Indian Tamilians and the Punjabis. So, my New Year best wishes to all of them. And the coming Sunday, we are going to have a very interesting discussion. Next Sunday, April 22nd, the topic is cloning God in us. It is the cloning of God in us. And it will be delivered by Dr. Rajgopalan Rangarajan. He will speak on this very interesting idea, growing God in us, cloning God in us. The other programs, the Vedanta classes, on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. will go on as usual. Tuesdays, the theme is that Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. And on Fridays, it is Swami Vivekananda's wonderful treatise, Jnana Yoga, Yoga of Discernment. So, every morning and evening there are meditations and prayers, as you are seeing there, all displayed. So, I don't have to say much. Let us now conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, please say loudly, it should, you are so many, your voice should overpower my voice, even though I have the sound system attached. Still, your voice should overpower my voice. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.